everybody. So today's topic is novel and its types. The literary terms that I'm going to discuss today are novel of manners or social novel, sci-fi or science fiction, regional novel, and the last one is sentimental novel. So let's start with novel of manners or the social novel. Basically, a novel of manners recreates the social life, and the primary focus is on relationships, customs, daily routine life, and its rituals. The aim is to help us understand the rubrics of social life and the intricacies of human relationships amid the social manners and customs. The genre emerged during the final decades of the 18th century. The novel of manners often shows a conflict between individual aspirations or desires and the accepted social codes of behavior. Uh, Lord Chesterfield's letters to his son are a primary example to anybody concerned with the novel of manners. In 1778, Frances Burney wrote Evelina, one of the first legitimate novels of manners. Social behavior in public and the private settings accounts for much of the plot of Evelina. Henry Fielding's Joseph Andrews and Tom Jones were the early raw examples of social novels. During the Victorian England, this type was at its peak in the writers like Charles Dickens, George Eliot, W. M. Thackeray, George Meredith, Thomas Hardy, and D. H. Lawrence were among the most successful novelists of this type. Jane Austen's Sense and Sensibility, Pride and Prejudice, Emma were exemplary novels of this kind. Apart from that, Raja Rao's Kanthapura, that was published in 1938, is another example of this generic social novel. And then coming to the next literary term, that is sci-fi or science fiction. It is a typical novel that is based on the imaginative flight of scientific possibilities. It relies heavily on scientific facts, theories, and principles as support for its settings, characters, themes, and plotline, which is what makes it different from fantasy. It is based on imagining the scientific and technological advances of the future and major social or environmental changes as a result of it. The term science fiction was popularized, if not invented, in 1920s by one of the genre's principal advocates, the American publisher Hugo Gernsback. It may be this scientific novel or sci-fi may be pessimistic or very depressing in nature, and such as in showing of pollution and total erosion of the ecology, or it can be optimistic as in showing of life totally in perfect human control and a win over human predicament and death through scientific advances. If we talk about examples of science fiction, the very first experiment in this type was Mary Shelley's Frankenstein, that was published in 1818. Apart from that, George Orwell's 1984 and Aldous Huxley Brave New World are other successful science fiction novels. The third literary term is, what we can call is the type of the novel is regional novel. Regional novel is a novel that presents a region as the setting of its story. The regional novel creates a special focus on a region and the area itself become a major participant in the story. It describes features distinguishing the life, social relations, customs, language, dialect, or other aspects of the culture of that area and its people. It gives the reader special insight into the geographical and cultural details of a particular imaginative place, so that it gets created in the mind of the reader as a vivid and living space. Thomas Hardy was the first exponent of this type, and he created Wessex tradition in his novels, followed by William Faulkner, who created a South American tradition called Yokno-Patawa. If we talk about Indian novelists, so the very first name that appears in the category of regional novels is R.K. Narayan, and R.K. Narayan's novel set in Malgudi stands as a beautiful example of a South Indian regional novels. Raja Rao's Kanthapura is also a regional novel as it sensitizes us about an imaginative village recreated as a prototype of the South Indian village. In the next term is, or the type of the novel is sentimental novel. The sentimental novel or the novel of sensibility is the 18th century literary genre that relies on emotional response from readers and characters. This type of novel is primarily about the emotional relationships and that too most about love among the teenage and the young. Romantic and personal feelings developing into a relationship and maturing into marriage or a failure of it is the prime concern of this kind of novel. The literature of Romanticism adopted many elements of this novel of sensibility, including responsiveness to nature and the belief in the wisdom of the heart, in the power of sympathy. The assumptions underlying the sentimental novel were Jean Rosse's doctrine of the natural goodness of man and his belief that moral development was fostered by experiencing powerful sympathies. Among the most famous sentimental novels in English are Samuel Richardson's Pamela or Virtue Rewarded, Oliver Goldsmith's Vicar of the Wakefield that was published in 1766. Then is Laurence Sterne's Tristram Shandy, Sentimental Journey, Henry Brooks' The Fool of Quality, Henry Mackenzie's The Man of Feeling that was published in 1771, and Maria Edgeworth's Castle Rackrent. So these are the different types of novels. Thank you.